Are they going to be the ones giving you $40 million a year? Because there's a point where it's a business, it's a brotherhood and a business. Business needs to come first, especially when it comes to a knee injury. Michael Vick came out and said, hey, man, I think you should put a brace on and say, and then Robert Griffin III came out and said, that's inappropriate. I put on a knee brace. I did that. Guess what? It ruined my career. I never got that NFL payday. You know what I'm doing? I'm up here talking about football. I don't want to see Lamar Jackson off the football field in 3 years. I feel like be careful, especially with your injury, and it's time to get paid. And it's time to divorce with the Ravens because he posted on Instagram, basically it was like an emo song about if you don't love me, I won't love you, and then we're all going to break up and whatever emo kids sing about.
Yeah, it's interesting that Robert Griffin III quote, because Robert Griffin III, he had 1 year where he was out of his mind. He was amazing. Yeah. Then he got in a lot of injuries, and his career was never really the same. Actually ended up backing up Lamar Jackson at one point, and he could have had a career reminiscent of Lamar Jackson. I believe he was the offensive rookie of the year over Andrew Luck.
Over Andrew Luck, and he had both the Shanahans coaching him.
Yeah, and I think Sean McVay was on that team too.
Sean McVay, that was the one that Matt LaFleur was on that team.
Loading coaching staff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that team overall, like that was a really great Robert Griffin III season. And then he just kind of fell off from there because of that injury that he talked about. But as far as Lamar Jackson is concerned, it's like he shouldn't play. First of all, you have no weapons around him at all. That offense is reliant on you running the football. What happens when you run the football? You take a lot of hits. Potentially, there's more injuries from there.
He's a tight end.
Yeah, he has Mark Andrews, which I like Mark Andrews a lot, but I wouldn't put him over Kittle or Travis Kelce. But that's an argument for another day. So for him, with no weapons and a team that cares way more about their defense than they do for their quarterback, you go to these other teams, like a team like the Raiders who could use a quarterback, or a team like the Dolphins, or a team like the Jets, or literally every other situation that you could go to right now will have better weapons than the Ravens, because the Ravens have a bottom 5 receiver core in the NFL. So you want a team that has a nice offensive line. You want a team with nice weapons. How about Miami with Tua? I mean, I understand they got Tua, but if you can get Lamar Jackson, you can get Lamar Jackson. He's won you an MVP. He's won you games. You're consistently one of the best in the league. I think it's obvious he's going to leave.
Yeah, it's obvious he's going to leave, especially after posting this. And then John Harbaugh, through it all, the blind idiot. Every time John Harbaugh's in a press conference, they're like, John, what's the status of Lamar Jackson? He's like, well, I don't know. How do you not know? You're the head coach. You don't know the status of your quarterback's injury? I would be texting Lamar every single day. I'd be calling him. I'd be like, do you need me to come over your house and put ice on your knee? And you know what I would also be doing? I'd be going straight up to the front office like, hey, this is a nice kid. He doesn't have an agent. He wants to do it himself because he doesn't want some shady guy taking some commission off his contract. Respect to Lamar for negotiating, but this is what happens when you don't have an agent. When you don't have an agent who can go to the front office, be like, hey, you guys see Cleveland just gave a rapist, allegedly, a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. And you can't give it to Lamar, who's won an MVP, won a playoff game, given everything to this franchise, and you guys have done nothing to put weapons around him. I will never disrespect a player for going out and getting his money. Getting your money comes first, and creating that generational wealth for you and your family. Then we can talk about winning. But Lamar has proven he's one of the greatest dual threat quarterbacks of all time, if not the best. Broke Michael Vick's single season rushing record. So it's like, got to get an agent, because I feel like when you have an agent, Mike Florio was talking about this, and Mike Florio prefaced it with, he's a lawyer and he kind of understands how an agent negotiates and how he interacts with the media. He was like, if Lamar Jackson had an agent and he heard what Michael Vick said about just go out there and play and put the brace on, if I was his agent, I'm immediately calling Fox and being like, I need to talk to Michael Vick right now. And then I would be like, Michael Vick, shut the fuck up. You're costing my guy money. You're trying to damage Lamar Jackson's integrity. People are questioning his heart. It's like, no, I'm not playing. I sprained my knee. It's like, if you guys aren't going to pay me, then we're done here. I have nothing left to say to you. Give me fully guaranteed money or I'm leaving, and someone else will. Someone else will give Lamar Jackson more money than the Ravens will. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, especially because they put all their money on their defense.
Yeah.
And they have no weapons. They can't even get you weapons if they wanted to because they just paid Roquan Smith and they have all these other guys. Marcus Peters, they paid Marcus Peters. Marlon Humphreys, they paid Marlon Humphreys. It's like,
Can't draft receivers either.
yeah, your best receiver you drafted was Hollywood Brown, who is the
Gone.
third receiver on the Cardinals, maybe second receiver on the Cardinals. So, and they traded him for that's a player, Kyle Hamilton. Well, I like Kyle Hamilton,
Yeah.
but you traded away his only good receiver for safety. You can't throw to a safety most of it's to the other team. So it's ridiculous. There's going to be a bunch of teams. I think he's going to get a contract north of Deshaun Watson, especially because he's not a rapist.
Yeah.
I think so, at least. And there's a bunch of teams where there's a number of teams that they look at Lamar Jackson and think, okay, well, I see my receiver core, I see my offensive line, I see my defense. I'm one quarterback away. Let me give Lamar Jackson all the money he asks for, write him a blank check, and he'll get his because he deserves it. He's going to go down as probably the best running quarterback of all time.
Not just teams, head coaches. Because you see someone like Sean Payton, if you want to attract a culture in your team like the Raiders, Raiders don't have enough money to pay him, but you're a team like the Bucks who's moving on from Brady. You have drama with Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles. You're looking to rebuild. You still have pieces there, and you could still rebuild that team. Sean Payton, familiar with the NFC South. AFC is loaded, so it makes sense to switch conferences. Like, if I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and I can get Lamar Jackson and Sean Payton, and then all I need to do is shore up that offensive line and get a running back and maybe a few more pieces on defense and a good draft in free agency with Lamar and Sean Payton. You don't think Sean Payton's going to be able to maximize Lamar Jackson? Because Chargers job ain't open. And it seems like they're not interested in Sean Payton. So Sean Payton basically is like, all right, I want to go now wherever Lamar Jackson goes.